Hey Liz, glad to see you.
It's good to see you, Donna.
You know, I have something to talk to you about.
Okay.
And it's really important.
Okay.
How did that make you feel just now?
Anxious. So anxious.
Anxious? How? You know me so well. Why are you anxious?
It's that pit in your stomach. Nobody likes to hear that phrase that we need to talk. So, Donna, why do we get that feeling?
Well, you tell me. It's really about fight or flight.
Yes.
So we feel that if somebody's telling us, I want to talk to you, we start making up the most amazing stories in our head about what the topic is going to be, what did I do wrong. In fact, we go to negativity before we go to positivity. So the amazing thing is it's normal and it's natural. The challenge is, how do you breathe through it? How do you live through it?
So we're here to talk about crucial conversations today. And essentially that was the start to a crucial conversation.
Right.
Where we get that pit in our stomach, I want to flee from you, I want to run away as far from as I can. What exactly is a crucial conversation?
Well, what we just demonstrated really isn't the right way to have a crucial conversation. I want to just start that. But the definition of a crucial conversation is a conversation between two or more people where three elements are involved: high stakes, opposing opinions, and strong emotion. And it's the strong emotion especially that gives you that pit in your stomach.
That makes sense. So you've explained those three things. So can you tell me a little bit more detail about those three things that make up that crucial part?
Sure. High stakes are what put us at risk. So, and opposing opinions, oftentimes, if we don't have opposing opinions, we really don't have anything to talk about. We're congenial, we're cooperating, we're participating, everything is good, everything is cool. And the strong emotions, those really are what put us at risk, because we respond so quickly due to the fight or flight.
So the other aspects, that high emotion is the pit in your stomach, the high stakes, that opposing conflict. So when we sense ourselves entering that crucial aspect, it's not a normal conversation anymore, we've entered into that territory, what steps should someone take to make sure that the conversation goes as smoothly as it possibly can?
Yeah, so let me give you a better example of what that should look like if we're entering into a crucial conversation.
Okay.
So let's say, for example, that, and I know that this wouldn't be you, Liz, but just for demonstrative purposes only, that you're in a meeting with me a lot. So we're in lots of internal meetings, we go to client meetings, we go to business meetings internally. And for whatever reason, when I talk, you interrupt me. And this happens over a period of time. In fact, I don't say anything the first time it happens, and it becomes a pattern. So then what occurs is I start making up excuses and stories in my head about why you're interrupting me. She doesn't like me, she thinks what I said doesn't count, she's dismissing me, these issues, she thinks she's better than me. I mean, it just goes into an ugly downward spiral. So when that occurs, then I shut off. So I go to silence. Oftentimes people go from silence to violence over a period of time. That doesn't mean I'm going to hit you or touch you.
I appreciate that.
I promise. But it does mean that I may blow up, because if we don't act out our feelings, we clam up. So if we don't act it out, we'll blow up. If we don't act out, or if we don't act on it, we blow up. So what the crucial conversation should truly look like is something like this. Hey Liz, do you have a minute? I want to check something out with you.
Sure, Donna.
Something's been bothering me. And it's really important to me, or else I wouldn't have this conversation with you. I've noticed, so you notice, first of all, I just introduced that I have an issue I want to talk to you about. The second step really would be talk about the issue. I've noticed, this is not placing blame, but I've noticed that during the last meeting that we had, and a meeting that we had a couple of weeks ago, when I started to share something with the team, you interrupted me. You talked right over the top of what I was going to say, and I didn't finish my sentence. I didn't finish my thought. Now that's on me because I didn't. My concern is that you interrupted me. And what I've told myself is whatever I say isn't important to you. So I wanted to check these things out again because it's important to me that we have a conversation, because I respect you. So those are the things that are going on with me. Does that sound about right, or am I missing something here?
That felt completely different.
There you go.
I immediately thought, of course you're important to me, versus I need to leave this situation.
Right. It makes a huge difference because instead of people feeling like they're on edge and feeling like the other individual is being punitive or being dismissive or being critical of them, they realize they're in it together.
So say I realize there's a pattern, I need to address somebody. How should I plan for the crucial conversation? I know there's steps in the moment, but is there something you can do before you actually sit down and talk to them to prepare yourself?
Yes, I think there's a lot of good steps, and one of them is to write down notes. The other, before you're even writing down your notes, is to get real in alignment with your heart. What does your heart tell you? Oftentimes we lead with our head instead of our heart. And when we lead with our head, we get into an emotional responsiveness, which I call reptilian brain.
What exactly is that?
So reptilian brain it's the basic fight or flight syndrome in us. It means I'm going to survive at all cost. And if you attack me, even if it's an emotional attack, I'm going to respond. Everything in our world is made up of a stimulus and a response. So I'm going to respond in a way that I'm going to survive it. So that means I'm going to yell louder than you, or I'm simply going to get dumbed down. When I get reptilian brain, I'm so emotional that I can't think. I can't think straight. I can't be reasonable. I'm only being reactionary.
Which doesn't help anybody.
Doesn't help anyone.
Okay. So we've talked a lot about crucial conversations, what to do when you're in the situation, how to plan for the situation. If you had to give our audience, people watching this video, 3 things that they should really take away and remember, internalize, prepare, what would those 3 things be?
I would say master your stories. I believe that stories are the stories that we tell ourselves about a situation. It's kind of at the foundation of many of our issues. It's a made-up solution, or it's a made-up story in our head based on conclusions, assumptions, judgments, things that the only way we can understand them is to ask the individual if they're real, to basically deal with the facts versus the story in our head. Everything is in our world is made up of, again, of a stimulus. And as we see or hear things in our lives, we make up that story in our head because we don't know the real issue unless, again, we ask, unless we check with the facts. Then that leads to a feeling, and that leads to the action. So first I would say master your story. The other thing I would say is to truly get real with, are you in alignment with what your heart tells you? And how you can do that is ask yourself a very simple question. And it can even be in the heat of the moment, during a crucial conversation. What do I really want? What do I really want right now? What do I want for the individual? What do I want for myself? What do I want perhaps for the team? What do I want for the organization? And then make sure that if you determine really what you want, make sure you act on what you want. So what I really want right now is for us to be congenial teammates, for you not to interrupt me during any meetings in the future. That would be great, if that's okay with you.
I don't interrupt.
Didn't know I did it, right?
Yeah.
But to realize that we're in this together. So if that's where my motivation is, it's going to come across to who I'm speaking to. You felt it earlier.
For sure.
So I think that's another. And you asked me for 3, and I didn't count on my fingers how many I gave you. I'd say also to think about a stimulus and a response. And I mentioned that before, that give yourself permission to make a different choice. And what I mean by that is if there's those stimulus and response in our lives, so here's the stimulus, here's the response, we have an opportunity when those two come together, instead of letting them crash and conflict and confront, to create a space. The space is called a choice. That choice can be a breath, a pause, asking yourself the question, what do I really want? Something that gets you out of the reptilian brain thinking, actually completely out of reptilian, but into thinking. So what do I want for my future? What do I want for our future? That would be the 3rd.
These are all great tips, Donna. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I know I'm ready to face my crucial conversations, hopefully. Practice is key. And thank you all, Facebook, for joining us. Make sure you stay tuned for future Human Intelligence segments.